Headphones on, let's do this.
Hey, do you know of a podcast I could listen to that has nerd and comic books and stuff? I really can't find one.
I say, you ever heard of the Nerd Dumb Podcast?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nerd Dome Podcast, episode 254. I'm your podcaster without fear, Luke, and today I am joined with that uncanny guy. Hey,
hi
uncanny guy.
I think you were muted.
I'm in fact not muted.
I am the uncanny Ryan.
And I am the alliterative Andrew.
Hey, Ryan, remember when I used to refer to the podcast as the Great Lakes Avengers of Comic Books Podcast?
I do remember that.
My daughter was flipping through the Marvel encyclopedia I have, and she got to the Great Lakes Avengers, and she's like, "Dad, what even is this?" And I'm like, "Okay, sit down."
Got to the G's, huh?
But yeah, it made me think of the old tagline I used to throw on the show. It was awesome. But yeah, welcome this week, guys. How you guys been?
Been okay.
Good.
Yeah, busy.
Good. Also busy.
Surviving. As
Remember when
adults do.
people would know who the Great Lakes Avengers were before Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yes, because that's
Were
when
they in
Squirrel
the
Girl got her
cartoon?
own. What was that?
Were they in the cartoons at all? The Great Lakes Avengers, like on Superhero Squad or Avengers Earth Mightiest or anything?
I don't
Did
think
anybody
so.
watch those?
I watched
a
Earth
little bit.
Mightiest Heroes.
Oh yeah, I don't think they were on Earth Mightiest Heroes. I don't remember them being on Superhero Squad. I liked that show.
I did too. I watched that with my kids. That was a lot of fun.
Kind of speaking of animation, my daughter wanted to watch some Fantastic Four cartoons, so we had
The old ones?
we had two options. We had the one from '94, and then the one from like 2006, where they drew them.
Very
They're
stylized, I'll say.
Yeah, their faces were very anime-esque, but not the rest of it. Like their faces and their hair were very much like a lot of anime that she watches now.
Mhm.
But yeah, she ended up liking the older one. Because I showed her the Daredevil
where-
episode.
Oh, not the one where Johnny Storm has a lengthy musical number?
No, not that one. But I did also show her the one where Thor and the Fantastic Four fought Ego, the Living Planet, and they got Galactus to help them, and Thor was voiced by Gimli from Lord of the Rings.
Really?
Is it Jonathan Rhys Davies? Is that
Yeah,
his name?
John Rhys
Yeah,
Davies,
okay. Yeah, so yeah, he was Thor, and I was like, that's such a good voice for Thor, especially when he's speaking in that very Asgardian, like old English style. I was like, oh, they nailed that. But yeah, and then she was so after we watched that, she was reading some, I can't remember what, I think it was the X-Men First Class, where Jean and Sue Storm kind of have a little adventure together. And she just stops and she looks over at me and she goes, "Dad, Sue could just pop people's heads with like force fields, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, she could." And she's like, "Cool." And then we kind of started talking about like probably why she wouldn't do that, just because of her personality and
She's
you
a
know,
hero. Yeah.
morals and stuff like that. I was like, but she could. And I was talking to one of my other friends, and he sent me a couple panels from the Deadpool kills the Marvel universe. There's a point where Sue blows his head up with a force field from the inside, and he was like, "Look, it happened." And I still have not shown her that, but it was just, I'm glad she has been reading and like understanding like the power sets and how they can be used of all these heroes. And yeah, she was just like, yeah, like, you just put a bubble in their head and just make it pop, huh? Yeah, she could do that. But yeah. Have either of you guys watched the Rebel Moon movies on Netflix, the Zack Snyder ones?
My
What?
brother liked it, the first one.
I watched the first one and I did not like it.
What didn't you like about it, Ryan?
I was bored that entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was just, it did not catch me.
Yeah, it took me about 3 sittings to watch it. I think I'd just like fall asleep or I'd go do something else and be okay, where was I? I watched the second one though.
How does it compare to the first?
About more of the same. There is an extra cringy scene where they're all sitting around a table explaining their trauma and why they want to fight the bad guys. I'm like, yeah, no, you explained all of this in the first movie. You don't need to go around the campfire. And it was just so cringe. And I was like, okay. The action scenes are, Zack Snyder, lots of slow motion, lots of explosion. Pretty. They have full on lightsaber fights in this one. And yeah, I'm like, okay, so it's a little bit of Star Wars, a little bit of Seven Samurai, a little bit of Firefly. And it was like, it looks like he just took a bunch of ideas from other things and was just like, let's just throw it all together. And no one's going to know. No one will know. But yeah, I was underwhelmed, but I didn't have high expectations and I was still underwhelmed. So not a suggestion.
Is the Anthony Hopkins robot in this one more?
He is.
I liked that.
Yeah, for about 10 minutes. And he just pops up to tell you about how this is a bad idea and everyone's going to die. Disappear into waterfall. Aesthetically, he's awesome. They put like these big deer antlers on his head. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's a really cool character design. You're just going to leave him in a cave and let him do nothing. Probably because he could not afford to pay Anthony Hopkins for more than X amount of lines. But yeah, again, like I think design wise, like visually, there's a lot of interesting stuff. But other than that, there's not much there. I would not recommend it unless you really want to do that. I do recommend it more than Madam Web. I'll say that. It was better than Madam Web. Take that for whatever it is. We did have a new trailer pop up the other day that I'm excited to talk with you guys about. We had the Deadpool and Wolverine, the full trailer, come out. Andrew, you just watched it before we started recording. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks fun. It looks like if you like the previous Deadpool movies, you'll like this one because it's got Wolverine in it. Yeah, it seems fine. Yeah, I'll probably go see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Cassandra Nova is in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like Cassandra Nova, which is interesting. Interesting villain choice. That's. I think that could fit well because she's a bit bonkers.
Well, it's like a variant version of Xavier, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I would guess because they're doing the time variant things in the comics. It's Professor X's twin sister that
is also an alien, like opposite monster thing, the Mummbry or whatever it was. Yeah,
X-Men, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, twin sister didn't survive the womb. Retconned into this other creature thingy.
Yeah. I did think when they, especially the part in the trailer where she's like controlling Wolverine's claws, like her facial expressions remind me of like James McAvoy's facial expressions in some other movies that he's been in. And I was like, that would be fun if that's the variant version, you know, leaning more towards McAvoy than Stewart.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I like the jokes in the trailer. It's very typical Deadpool. I'm excited for it because I really like the other two movies.
Mhm.
It's good comedy, and I love Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, and I had sent a picture to Andrew earlier, but there's the part where they're kind of like walking around the van, and it's like a slow motion thing. If you look at the shop behind it, it said Liefeld's, and then it says only feet. And
I didn't notice that.
I love that because we all know this podcast loves Queensy McBean feet. So for people that don't know, Charles went to New York Comic Con and got into a very in-depth discussion with a guy from Queens that just loved Rob Liefeld, even though he drew his feet that look like beans. So we named this guy that Charles couldn't remember the name of Queensy McBean feet, and he's Rob Liefeld's #1 fan. So that guy out there is amped. It also seems like one thing that I've liked about the Deadpool movies is the cast for the most part seems pretty small. Like especially the first one, there's 6, maybe 7 characters in the whole, and not including the guys in the bar. And it looks like it feels like that just through the trailer. I'm like, there's nobody else in these except Cassandra Nova, Wolverine, Deadpool, and then the scene with all the guy, all his friends back in his apartment. So I think go ahead.
I bet you it wouldn't surprise me if they had a shit ton of just small cameos of all X-Men things in the past. Like it wouldn't surprise me if they brought tons of people like cause in the last movie where he's assembling X-Force, but they're only there for just a little bit. So it wouldn't surprise me if it's something like that over and over and over again.
Okay, I could see that. I think
I'm hoping for more Mike Allred's X-Force characters to show up. We had Zeitgeist last time. Yeah, come on, you go, girl. Yeah.
which is another one that when my daughter was flipping through the Marvel encyclopedia, she's like, "Dad, you go, girl," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay." I was like, "Also, if you just read next to the name, it tells you exactly." Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I think it looks fun. I think I did like the Feige knowing about the cocaine references at the end of the trailer. That was funny. But yeah, Andrew, you're right. It feels like the other Deadpools. If you like the other Deadpools, I think you're gonna like this Deadpool. I'm gonna go see it. That's for sure. I will. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Okay. Next thing I wanted to talk about is Amazon Prime released the Fallout TV series. And I've watched the whole thing. I don't know if you guys have or have any interest in the Fallout TV series, but I wanted to talk about it a little bit. So first off, have you guys seen it at all?
I have not. I hear good things. I haven't played a Fallout game since it was on the CD-ROM. So it's like it's been a little while. Yeah, it was Fallout 2. Yep. And so I think I might even still have the disc downstairs. But for all the good it would do. But,
right. Collector's item now.
Yeah. Yeah, get my Windows 95 computer running. It'd be perfect. So, yeah, Ryan, have you seen it?
I've watched the first episode. My boyfriend and I watched the first episode. He's debating whether he wants to continue it. I was figuring he wouldn't like it because it wasn't up his alley. I really like the story. The gratuitous gore is fine. I could live without it. I don't know. I've never really loved that, but it's a really good story and entertaining.
Yeah, I finished the whole thing. It took me like I don't know, like 3 days. I'm glad that they just released it all, because that's the way I like to consume my TV shows. But yeah, it was so good. And when they were first talking about it, the hardest thing, especially with like say Fallout 3, New Vegas, Fallout 4, excuse me, everyone's playthrough of Fallout is going to be different. It's just the nature of the game, decisions, if you're going with, certain factions, this person lives, this person dies. There's no way to tell the story, because the story is different in every single gameplay. So I like the approach that they did, where they kind of took the lore and the world that Fallout was in, and they kind of disconnected it from the other games. But it's still that world. Everything is still there. You still see Nuka-Cola and Blamco mac and cheese and all this stuff. And you get a little bit of before the bombs fell, and it jumps to the, to the current future in there. And they do like make references to some of the other games, especially New Vegas, because this one takes place in California, and that's the like Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 over in DC and Boston. So it's very, separated by the country. So they do touch on stuff like the new California Republic and stuff like that in the TV show. But I thought they did such a great job. I think at one point with the two main characters, and they're walking around the wasteland, I was like, oh, look, it's Finn and Ray. But they're continuing their adventures in the way that, makes sense. And I love that Bethesda came out, because, you can set the stats for your character, like your charisma, your intelligence. They came out and released what the stats are for the characters in the TV show, like what the levels are at. And I was like, oh, video games. Thank you.
Cool.
And also, I believe this shows the importance of having the creators of the game involved in the making of the show, because they had Todd Howard there. He's an executive producer. He's Mr. Bethesda. He's been behind a whole lot of stuff. So I think having that there really, really, really helped the show. And everyone else that's making video game TV shows should probably pay attention to that. Halo. Sorry, that came out. But that was my favorite meme of, no, now this is how you do a video game adaptation. And it was them scolding the Halo team.
Has the second season of Halo come out?
Mm-hmm.
Have you watched it?
No. It came out like the day they dropped the trailer for it, and I was like, oh, moving on.
I didn't.
We still need to make the Ryan cut, where we replace that actor's head with your face.
Where I was frozen that one time. Yeah.
That's the face. That's the
face.
And maybe we'll just do the clip art thing where the jaw moves when he's talking.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Like a mannequin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We'll get the people on that.
I want to do that so I don't have to comb my hair before each one of these.
At least you have hair.
Oh.
But yeah, so Fallout TV show, highly recommend watching it. It is
very good
fantastic. Walter Goggins does great as the ghoul in that. And getting more of his backstory is awesome. Yeah, it's just great. I didn't ever think I'd see Power Armor walking around on TV.
It looks so good.
It does. It looks fantastic. Like everything about it is just been. It was just great, and I think I'm gonna rewatch it again. But I didn't have it on the notes. But also, if you're not watching Shogun on FX/Hulu, do it, because it's fantastic.
Is it an adaptation of the novel, or is it okay?
Yes. And so they just finished season 1 as of recording today. I just watched the last episode, and like I'm sitting there trying not to cry watching the end of this, and I'm just like, this show is so good. so good. And Hiroyuki Sanada plays the main character in that, and he's amazing in everything that he's in ever. So this is no different. I can't remember the actor's name. He played Hogun in the Thor movies, Hogun the Grim. He was also in there's an not Attila, Genghis Khan movie that he was in that was really good. But he plays a character that's very kind of looking out for himself, but also he's like trying to play all the sides, all like throughout the entire show. And he does so well at it that you're like, no, I kind of get what this guy's going, what he's going for. Like, yeah, he's kind of slimy, but I see his reasoning behind it. Yeah, it's fantastic. Watch it. The actress that plays Mariko in it, phenomenal. And I actually watched an interview with her. I think it was either Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon. And she was talking about the Japanese that they actually use in the show is older Japanese. So it would be like the equivalent of Shakespearean English, where it's just words that we don't, and that's what they were all speaking in. Again, me, not a native Japanese speaker at all, I had no idea. So that was really cool. That was really interesting to hear that. She said she had to go to like some dialect coaches to say, something like "pass the cheese" is like a 2.5 sentence thing in that. But yeah, again, another
It's
suggestion.
not as simple as adding "est" to everything. Couldst thou passest the cheesest?
Right. Oh man. Oh, that was funny.
Don't die. It wasn't that funny.
Good show. Go watch it. Go watch Shogun. I've read the book too, and it does a pretty good job of adapting the book as well. Better than what was in the 80s when they did the
TV movie,
made for TV movie. Yeah. A little bit more in depth on that one than that one. So yeah. Okay. Next thing I wanted to talk about is I went and saw Godzilla Kong: The New Empire.
You still haven't seen
it. So it is very have you seen it, Andrew? Listen,
no.
I thought I'd ask.
No.
But it is a CGI love fest where giant monkey punches giant lizard.
I thought they reconciled due to their mutual hate of Mechagodzilla.
Well, no, as long as they stay separated from Hollow Earth and the surface, then they're fine. But if they cross paths, Godzilla's mad. But Godzilla's like barely in this movie. He's just going around and fighting other monsters and absorbing energy, while Kong is fighting these evil apes and getting his ass kicked the entire movie. Yes, that's exactly why he turns pink. And then he shows up, near the end to help save the day. And my brother leans over and he says, meanwhile, Godzilla was training. And it was like, that's exactly what happened. It's the Goku trope where he's training or he's in a pod and everyone else just has to hold on until he's ready. Or Superman, same thing. We just got to hold out until Superman gets here. It was good. The guy who played in Legion, the TV show, he's in it. I cannot remember his name. Dave Stevens. Dave Stevens is the Rocketeer guy.
The dude who played Legion?
Yes. And he played Beast in the Beauty and the Beast live action Disney remake. Dan Stevens. Dan Stevens is his name.
I did not know.
It wasn't Fisher Stevens?
No, it was not. He's in it and he plays like a hippie biologist guy. Again, the human interaction stuff doesn't make sense, but again, no one's really there to watch the human element of this. They want to see the giant monsters punch each other, and they definitely did that. But the problem is after you see Godzilla -1, it's hard to top that in any way, shape, or form, because that movie is phenomenal.
Mhm.
Phenomenal. I still keep waiting for me to be able to get it digitally so I can watch it again. Like I said in my original review of that, like that is the best representation of PTSD that I have ever seen, is the way they portray it in that. Knowing guys that have gone through it, that is what it's like. It's not like the way it's portrayed in most things. So yeah, so it's kind of, you know, setting a bar way up here for a Godzilla movie. When this is just not that. It's just not. But I mean, I shoveled popcorn into my mouth. I laughed at giant monkey punching giant lizard. And I was like, property damage? Pfft, they don't care about property damage. Sorry, Buenos Aires. But yeah, again, I would suggest going and seeing it if that's, just know what it is, right? Just know what it is. Don't expect it to be Godzilla -1, because that was, yeah, it was great. Okay, next, we got a trailer for the kind of the story mode of the Star Wars Outlaws video game. Ryan, how did that look to you?
I have a bias towards things without lightsabers. And so I'm like, it looks so good and looks so pretty, but I want a lightsaber.
Right. I thought that would be your opinion, because this is the opinion that we share most of the time when there's Star Wars without lightsabers. We're like, I mean, it's good, but a lightsaber would make it better.
My boyfriend has the opposite opinion, in that he gets way more into the stuff that doesn't have the lightsabers. So he's super excited.
Yeah, Andor was great.
And
Not a
Rogue One.
1. No.
Yeah. Yet we'll get season 2 and it'll just be full of lightsabers.
They'll find some way to ruin it. Don't worry.
Mon Mothma has a lightsaber in season 2 of Andor.
That'd be fantastic.
Just as long as she's flipping around like Yoda. That would be fun.
All right, Ryan, if Mon Mothma had a lightsaber, what color is it?
Turquoise. Sorry, the flames were really loud at that moment.
Ryan's getting bombarded by the U.S. Air Force right now. Turquoise? She'd have a turquoise lightsaber?
That's the first thing that popped in my brain. I was actually thinking yellow originally when I first thought of the image, like Rey.
See, I'm thinking like silver.
Ooh, silver, yeah.
With the long flowy like light colored dresses she wears most of the time. I think silver would look very classy. And Mon Mothma would have a classy lightsaber.
It would be.
But anyway, Star Wars Outlaws looks, it again, like the gameplay looks good. Like it's kind of hard to tell now between what's cinematics and what's actual gameplay. But we also got a news story, because they show in the trailer a mission where you're talking to Jabba the Hutt. They have already come out and say that is behind a paywall. You're going to have to pay extra for the season pass to get the Jabba the Hutt mission.
Oh, sure.
So it's beginning before the game is even out.
The season pass stuff, I've seen that happen pretty early before too. It sucks, but it's not like unusual. Yeah,
it's not like setting a precedent or anything, but it is one of those things where it's frustrating, you know? It's like they finally get like, because we've been asking for like single player Star Wars adventure games. And we got the last two with Cal Kestis. Those have been pretty good, but it hasn't been super open world. This one looks like it's going to be a little bit more open world. It almost looks like that canceled, was it 1313 that they did years ago that was supposed to be on Coruscant?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I think this is maybe the evolution of that.
Sure.
But yeah, But what we really want is another Knights of the Old Republic game. And that's, we keep saying other things that, we want an open world game where your decisions matter and you can create your own character. And we want KOTOR 3. You don't have to name it that, but you can name it that if you want to, and we would love it.
Indeed.
And I think that's really where every Star Wars game that comes out that's not that is always like, oh, it's good, but it's not Knights of the Old Republic. But yeah. Did you see the any of the trailer for this one, Andrew?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to play this one. So.
Okay.
I don't play a ton of video games.
Mm-hmm. That's what I spend most of my time doing now. It's just I read a comic and then play some video games until I go to sleep, and then I repeat the next day. But kind of staying on Star Wars, we're going to move over to the live action stuff, and we got the trailer for Star Wars Acolyte. Ryan, you've made faces. Go.
I am so excited about this. I didn't know how much I needed Carrie-Anne Moss as a Jedi in my life until I saw that, and I was just awestruck. I love her. And just I've talked about that on the show before, and I was just so excited to see her. And
I swear she doesn't age. She looks.
She's so pretty, and she's so nice. Yeah. So I am super excited. I really like the High Republic stuff. I'm excited to see that era on in this medium. We've only really had it a lot in the comics and the books. And I'm excited to see one of the book characters transition into this kind of thing, because I don't know exactly timeline place, but it seems like the character from the books and comics, Vernestra Rowe, she's an apprentice then, and she looks like she's probably like a well-seasoned master at this point. So it's got to be a bit after the stuff that they've brought out so far in the comics and books. So I'm excited to continue that. I'm excited to see that era more. And I'm so excited for Carrie-Anne Moss.
What about you, Andrew? You got thoughts?
I'm hoping they show me something I haven't seen before. Because the problem I typically have with Star Wars is that it's the same thing over and over again. Oh, look, it's another Death Star. That sort of thing. And so if, like with Andor, they showed me a part of the Empire, showing me the banality of evil, this administration that keeps the war machine moving. I want to see something I haven't seen before in Star Wars, and this is threatening to do that. So we shall see.
My brother, he's a big fan of any of the Sith. And so I was like, you're good. This is for you, man. Like it looks like her story of, going to the dark side and stuff, or, embracing the power. And I'm like, this is for you. And he just said, there's too many Jedis. Oh, you're never going to be happy. He's just mad because it's not Darth Bane and Xana from the old stuff. That's really what it comes to.
Sunrider? Where's Sunrider at?
Yep. Know me, Sunrider? Yeah. That'd be awesome.
XR Coon. Yeah, I read a bunch of those books too. He's still on board of that's the best Star Wars, and he doesn't really give any Disney Star Wars a chance. And I'm like, well, you're missing out on some good stuff, but enjoy what you enjoy. I like it. I honestly kind of backed out a little bit of the High Republic just because there was so much stuff so quickly. It was like there was a book every 3 months, and then there's like 7 different comics titles, and I'm just like, I can't keep up, guys.
And then it just died. Like phase 3, I should say. Phase 3 has like a fraction of the content that phase 1 had, because it just died.
Yeah, and I think it's because it's just too much. It was just too much. I'm like how can I make a connection with a character when it's like, okay, now you're talking about a different character in this book, and that has nothing to do with these comics, but it's at the same time, and they're over here. I think, and honestly, like I really jumped on the Star Wars comics back when Marvel first got them back, and we had like Dr. Aphra,
Yeah,
Star
still,
Wars, and Darth Vader.
that is very good.
That was great.
That still is very good.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, cool. But like even before that, I think the only Star Wars ones I really read were when they started putting out the Clone Wars ones, because it was like like Mace Windu. You got stories about Mace Windu. You got stories about Kit Fisto. Like all these other Jedi that didn't really get a lot of screen time. You got adventures, and it was before the Clone Wars cartoon came out. All we had was the original Clone Wars cartoon shorts. So it was cool because that filled that gap there, but they just went too hard. They went too hard with the High Republic, and I was excited for it, but you just blasted me in the face. It's going to take me 6 years to get through all of this. And
they went super all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the show to me looks really cool because again, I like the concept of the High Republic. But I just, there's just like I want to see it do well. And yeah, Andrew, I totally agree with you. Like, yeah, show me something new with lightsabers. Not just yellow lightsabers. Show me some cool new like lightsaber move, or some new story that you can hinge it on, other than what did
you get
Chris say,
lightsaber nunchucks where the chain is the lightsaber part and it's just two handles.
So Vernestra, the character that's gonna from the book, she has a light whip.
Like a Ferengi?
Yeah.
Yep, exactly like a Ferengi. Because I remember there was a character back in the old Legends stuff that had a light whip, and she was a bad guy. And
yeah, because it's a whip. Good guys don't use whips.
No, unless you're Indiana Jones. It's
even
the only
then,
good guy that uses
grave
a whip.
robbing.
It belongs in a museum.
In its country of origin? Question mark?
No, Harvard. But yeah, okay. So another thing we got was Star Wars Tales of the Empire, and it's a bunch of shorts that This comes out on May 4th. This looks great. Like I loved the, was it Visions that they did before with all the different. I love that.
Yeah, that
love
was
that.
cool.
So I want.
Did you like Tales of the Jedi? Did you watch that?
Yeah, I did. I like the stuff like teasing with like what happened with Barriss.
Yeah, I'm really interested.
I'm very interested in that. So yeah, it looks good. That's my thoughts on it. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, I love anthologies. Yeah, I'll show up for that. Visions was amazing. That's what Star Wars should have been doing this whole time. Just like we've shown you, we've got our core trilogies, right? We want you to follow here, and then here's some weird shit.
Yeah,
here's some experimental stuff. That's what I want to see. Like the Animatrix. That's what it was. It's just these cool little animated shorts in the universe. They don't need to be connected. It doesn't have to everybody be named Skywalker or whatever.
I can't. Was it called Ronin? I think the episode where it was kind of like it looked like a samurai film, but the guy was
it the black and white one except for the red lightsabers? Yeah. And they have the umbrella.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Loved it. Ryan?
I now that you mention it, I really like the anthology stuff too, and I never really put that together of that specific thing is what I like, because I really like one of the books from a certain point of view. Loved that book, and it's a bunch of short stories.
I'm still mad at Will Wheaton for that, by the way. Yeah, if he does a story in there that's this tragic, father, gets his kid out of trouble after the Empire comes in and swipes the mom and gets her out of there, and he joins the Rebel Alliance, and he's on the moon of Yavin, and everything's going great, and then he decides, I can't have my kids here at this military base. I need to send them to the safest place in the universe, Alderaan. And I was like, Will Wheaton, you bastard. You are a bastard. And it's like the last like 4 sentences of the story. And I'm like, oh, what did you just do to me, man? Damn it, Wesley.
There's another book too that's I think like Legends of Luke Skywalker or something like that.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's it takes place between episode the Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. And it's like stuff that people have heard and retold about where Luke went after he was finished blowing up the Death Star in Return of the Jedi and stuff. And that was really fun to have like these people just telling these wild stories about what they heard about Luke Skywalker from in this like bar tavern setting, swapping stories. And that was really cool. I really like that one too. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Sorry, the pole fishing thing from that book. And then you see him do it in Last Jedi, and I was like, it's the thing.
There's truth to some of the wild stories. I love dark side stuff. I like the villains, so I'm excited to see where they go with this and give me some dark side anthologies.
Yeah, and even seeing like the Inquisitor from Rebels back. With Jason Isaac does the voice of him, and he's fantastic. So yeah, more of that. And also I love when they show Empire stuff and they actually kind of show the just the way the gravitas that Vader has when he walks in places. Everyone's like, oh shit, don't look at him.
He's the only guy with a cape. He draws the eye.
Yeah, him and Lando, that's it.
Lando would hope to have as much gravitas.
It's a different kind of attention, different cape, looks. One's for intimidation, the other's for flair. It's not apples to oranges when comparing cape to Star Wars. Because then you've got director Krennic who's trying to do both of them together, and it doesn't work as well.
It doesn't.
No. Hey, you guys want to talk about a movie sequel that no one really asked for?
Movie?
So we got the trailer for the follow-up to the Joker movie.
Oh yeah.
And I'm interested to get your guys' thoughts on this.
Should be fine. I don't know. I'm going to go see it because they're doing something weird. They're doing a musical. Yeah, I'll show up. I like musicals. Yeah.
I think that the first movie was a very good watch through, and I never want to watch it again. So I don't know how I feel about this because I liked that movie, but it's something I never want to watch again.
Like me with Logan.
Yeah.
I watched it one time and I was like, fantastic movie. That was it for me though. I can't emotionally do that to myself again. I'm sorry. Yeah, I watched the first one and I was like, okay, that was all right. And I know there's people out there that love musicals. I am not one of them. I'm just not, it's just not my bag. A lot of people like it, and that's awesome. I love that you guys love that. Like it took me 3 times to get through the Star Trek one.
You did finally watch it?
I did finally watch it, but it took me like 3 times. Again,
it didn't just catch in your brain constantly? You didn't just have it playing on repeat?
No, I got ADHD. My brain does like a million things at a time. So it just kind of wormed its way out. But yeah, and it's one of those things where I don't like the glorification of the Harley Joker relationship. And I don't know how they're going to do it or what they're going to do because and again, not a fan of musicals, not a fan of that relationship, like being, pushed out there other than like, it's fine the way they did it in the Harley animated series where they're just like, this guy is a piece of shit. He is abusive as hell. And this is me getting over it and getting better. Like that's the amount of that relationship that I ever care to be, covered. because I like Harley. I don't like Harley and Joker. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not excited about it. I didn't even know, like, I knew they were talking about it, and I thought it was a joke that it was a musical. And then I saw the trailer and was like, oh, it's not a joke. Neat. But yeah. So when you watch it, Andrew, you can give us the you can give us the review when it comes out.
Yeah, Doom Patrol did a musical episode too.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, they did do that. I do remember that.
Musical and Christmas.
You know how I love
things.
You know how I love Christmas movies. They're my favorite thing ever.
They're not my favorite.
No. I purposely yeah. We did that episode, non-Christmas movies, because that's all I watch. All right. And kind of going back to Star Trek, we did get the news that season 5 of Lower Decks will be the last season. So
travesty.
There was from creator Mike McMahon and producer Alec Kurtzman. They issued a joint statement confirming that this fall will be the 5th and final season of Star Trek Lower Decks. Tellingly, the statement mentions that 5 seasons of any series these days is a miracle. I'm glad that they're ending it, though. You know what I mean? Like, it's not,
We'll
we finished season 5.
Yeah, they get to end on their terms.
Right. So that makes me happy. That makes me happy. I'm excited about that. But yeah, I have loved that show more than it is probably top 3 Star Trek anything for me at this point. It's so good.
There are lots of petitions going around to save it, like they tried to do with Prodigy and have somebody else pick it up. But I think this is a little bit different situation.
Yeah.
They don't have unreleased seasons that they just got stopped.
Yeah, and I mean, if they're ending it to maybe do that 7 of 9 Captain Star Trek show, what is it, Legacy? I think that's what they were trying to call it. Yeah, I am down for that. If that's what if you're canceling Lower Decks to give me that, cool.
I was under the impression they were canceling all these productions so that they would have they'd have more assets on liquid assets available for when they are acquired by Sony.
Yep. That's probably what it's.
Sony gonna buy Paramount?
That's what I've heard.
Yep, they're in talks. So now we will only have 2 movie companies, Disney and Sony, and that is it. They have bought everybody. They are Microsoft or PlayStation and Xbox. They are
finally have that Star Trek Spider-Man crossover I've always wanted.
There you go.
We need to do the Star Trek X-Men, like those novels. Yeah, Planet X. Yeah.
I was just going to start taking some screenshots of the early 80s Next Generation comics with no context, just jacked Captain Picard, because they just drew everybody exactly the same and then just changed their hair. And yeah, I remember going back and reading those now. You're like, ooh, okay. Dr. Crusher, you're looking a lot like Rogue circa 91 right now. Let's all right, let's just go with it. But then surprisingly, Worf doesn't look that big. And I'm like, he's the one I think would be the bigger one, But yeah, no context, early 80s Star Trek posting. Yeah. All right. I know we were going to talk about some comics last week, but we ran a little bit long. I talked about what I had last week. Do you guys have anything you want to talk about? Any reviews or anything?
I haven't been reading comics because I've been playing Baldur's Gate.
Oh, how's Baldur's Gate?
Fantastic. I am overwhelmed.
Are you out of Act 1 yet?
Yes.
Finally?
Yes. 80 hours out of Act 1. It gets so sidetracked. I just love it though.
And then the worst part is you're going to have to play it again because there's decisions that get cut off.
I think I want to do the Dark Urge character of another playthrough and be as evil as possible, even though it would make me a little bit.
They just dropped a patch to update the ending for the Dark Urge and the evil ending because it kind of fell flat a little bit. They patched it and kind of added to the bad guy endings.
And then I want to do a playthrough with friends. I want to do this first playthrough by myself, and then I want to do a playthrough with friends because then you can all be as crazy as you want, and I won't be frustrated. I didn't get to see something I wanted to see.
Right. Relationships don't matter. Side quests and companions don't matter when it's all 4 player characters.
Yeah.
Do they have a hot seat option, or do we need to all log in?
No, yeah, it's all you were all playing the game concurrently and can go wherever you want.
That's not chaotic or anything.
Yeah.
No, I tried it with 2, and I'm like,
split the party
immediately. Yeah,
man.
Have you been reading something?
Of course.
What have you been
reading? Judge Dredd, the Penitent Man. This is fantastic. It's a modern Judge Dredd story from a couple years ago, 2020. And it's about a former judge who goes to jail for to the penal colony on Titan for 20 years for accidentally killing a civilian. And so he comes back to find that he's no longer welcome in Mega City 1. And he earns the attention of Judge Dredd, who doesn't believe that he's completely reformed. Yeah, it's excellent story. As good as any of the old stuff. Yeah, fantastic. Kenneth Nemano and Tom Foster. Terrific stuff. Yeah, can't recommend it enough. I got it at Dr. Volt's.
It's awesome. I did go back and I found the trade of it was back during the Avengers versus X-Men when they had the Versus comics that were just like the little one shots. So going back and reading this was fun, like Magneto versus Iron Man and the Thing versus Namor, which didn't have any baggage to that at all. Colossus versus the Thing. I forgot about the Black Widow versus Magic fight. Because again, when I first thought about that, I was like, magic.
Yeah. Magic. I mean, Black Widow's cool, easy. But it's not much of a fight. Yeah.
She's got a soul sword.
And then she's gone. You know?
Yeah. And then I had like the Daredevil versus Psylocke one. That one was fun.
I like that one. I think that one's probably my favorite from that series.
I remember being mad at one of these matchups that was Thor versus Emma Frost. And they had Emma Frost win after Thor broke. She was in diamond form and Mjolnir shattered her into a million pieces. And then somehow she reformed and brought all of the diamonds back down. So that was great. You know, Hawkeye versus Angel, Storm versus Black Panther. That one was really good. The only one that didn't end up with a winner. Yeah, that was the only one that it was like tie. They didn't kill each other, you know, because they're married. Hope versus Scarlet Witch. That was a really good one too. But I was talking to my daughter about it, and I couldn't find my Avengers versus X-Men, like the whole collected thing, but I did find the verses, and I was like, I kind of gave her the rough overview of the story, and I was like, these are just fights. These are who wins in a fight, these two. But I do like the Magneto and Iron Man when it said, if you think the Master of Magnetism versus the Armored Avenger is no contest, then you don't know Tony Stark. And then he like shoots out the little things that reverse the polarity of like the magnetic field, and Magneto just drops down to the ground.
Yeah. Doesn't he make a Faraday cage?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that was it. It's fun. It's fun. Gambit versus Captain America, I think, was another one. that they did. I think Spider-Man and Colossus.
Hey,
fought
Gambit's
too.
cool, but Captain America, right? I mean, there's no.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, but I do remember my favorite is the very end of this, and there's a Scotty Young issue of Versus, where it's just Avengers versus X-Men, and they're it's A babies versus X babies. That's what it was.
Oh yeah,
And
I
they're
didn't
like,
read that one.
it is adorable. And then they also had the one that was Cyclops. It's just like it was like a 1 page. It was Cyclops versus Captain America in verbal abuse, and they're just sitting there insulting each other until Cyclops cries. But I loved stuff like that. They have Science Battle where it's Beast and Black Panther and Tony Stark and Hank Pym and Phantom X and all of them fighting over laboratory supplies. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happened during Avengers versus X-Men, but yeah, that was so long ago now.
It was.
It feels
Thinking
like
about it.
ages.
But yeah.
In a similar series, my favorite versus of that vein is in the Avengers versus or X-Men versus Inhumans one. And I love Black Bolt versus Dazzler. Love that one.
Yeah, that
Loved it.
that
I don't
would
think
be
I
it.
ever read that one.
So good.
Huh. Yeah, I definitely didn't read that one either. Now I'm like, that would be wow. Yeah, no, that would be excellent.
Yeah, Dazzler versus Claw was pretty one-sided too. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's all I had for the episode this week. Andrew, go ahead and plug your studio.
Yes, please check out all of our comics, sketches, and games at VelicityStudios.com and every Monday on Whatnot.
Yeah. And then free comic book day.
Oh, yes, and we'll be signing at Black Cat Comics until they kick us out at Free Comic Book Day.
So it'll be 10 minutes. So you guys
Yeah.
better be there right when the doors
In
open.
line. 'Cause we're going to start throwing chairs like it's a Waffle House.
Oh, that was good. Again, guys, thanks for listening. If you have any comments or questions, let us know, and we'll cover it in the episode or get back to you. Yeah, Ryan,
Don't forget to subscribe.
you may now exit the dome. Oh, Chris isn't here.
So one of you guys will have to do it.
It's got to be Ryan.
Fuck responsibility.
I could see the whole time.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say here.
Bye, guys.